everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of analyzing the Q&A of Ramana Maharshi's Who Am I? Now, in this episode, we're going to be covering question and answer 2. But before I get into it, I will do a quick recap, a reread of the previous question and answer, and just read it without going into any sort of depth in it, sort of to catch up to why Sri Pillai would be asking this second question. So if you want to see the articulation of the first question and answer, that will always be the previous episode. I hope you're all doing good today, by the way. So question 1 was, who am I? Pretty big question. And Ramana's answer was, the gross body, which is composed of the 7 humors or dhatus, I am not. The 5 cognitive sense organs, the senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell, which apprehend their respective objects, sound, touch, color, taste, and odor, I am not. The 5 cognitive sense organs, the organs of speech, locomotion, grasping, excretion, and procreation, which have as their respective functions speaking, moving, grasping, excreting, and enjoying, I am not. The 5 vital airs, prana, etc., which perform respectively the 5 functions of inbreathing, etc., I am not. Even the mind which thinks, I am not. The nescience too, which is endowed only with the residual impressions of objects, and in which there are no objects and no functionings, I am not. So, that was the recap of the first question and the first answer. And here we are to move on to question 2. Sri Pillai says, if I am none of these, then who am I? Ramana's answer is, after negating all of the above mentioned as not this, that awareness which alone remains, that I am. So reading this is very much so what I dove into, funny enough, in question 1. So maybe we will carry on, as this answer is sort of indicative of what I was describing in the last episode, where what he's saying is, if properly understood, that last question, in which all that is in the appearance of I, in this world, the body, the mind, the apparent objective world, and even the mind that thinks it is the I, realizing that all of this that isn't available, there is something left. There is something still there. Now, it's not in concept, or it's not in appearance like all of this. It is what's left, what's left after discarding it all, because the I is, in the inquiry in to realize such a thing. The I is being untouched. It's, behind it, which itself is a concept that the I lies behind it, and all of this is going to be described in concept, in the thinking mind. What is left is exactly what Ramana said. Awareness. The awareness of this whole game going on of inquiring into the I, the silent, subtle, beholding awareness of all of this stuff, of this cognitive game, of this piercing deeper into the self. The very awareness of this whole thing taking place, which isn't in the mind or in appearance, like I've been saying, that I am. That is the I. And to even think you've located it is a projection out of yourself, is a mental construct inside of I, inside of awareness. When you properly disregard all the apparent forms of I, of you, truly down to the very truth of it, down to the very fundamental foundation of it, what is left is the entirety of awareness, in which this whole inquiry has taken place and this whole universe is taking place, and all these other apparent I's that seem separate are taking place. It is the awareness that is, that remains, that has been and always will be. The thing that the you think you are, that the I that I think I am, was born into and lives in and grows and decays and dies back into. It has always just been awareness. All experiences all growth and decay, all of life is inside of awareness, inside of you, inside of I. This I isn't somewhere, as somewhere is it's a location, it's something. It's something. It's conceptualized as it's right there. It's right here. But the I, the awareness that remains, you could in essence say it is empty, because it is prior. You could also say it's full, because it's what it all is inside of. It's what this whole universe is inside of. you could say that this I, this awareness, is inside of the universe as well, through and through, where it's not locatable, it's not conceivable. Location and conception is inside of the mind. Inside of the mind, that is inside of the I of awareness. So maybe I can get away with moving on to question 2, or question 3 rather, in this episode. Because as I sit here and use the analytical thinking mind, I realize that what I'm describing, and what Ramana's describing here, the negation of all of it and realizing what remains, what is left, is a lot of what I was talking about in the first episode, which I dived deep into, of how the mind itself obscures what remains, what is behind, what is prior. And this stuff is so tricky because as I say that the I, the awareness, is prior to the mind, prior to existence, or whatever, once again, I'm projecting at you concepts. I'm giving you these intellectual concepts, And all of this is inside of awareness. This entire thing right now, in what remains, in what Ramana's talking about, is you. It's I. It's empty because it is the whole of it, one. There are not parts to I. There are not parts or facets of awareness. That comes into play within the mind, within what's inside of awareness. I had a lovely soul comment on my last video talking about his own journey, his own understandings and intellectual analysis of what is I, what is meditation, what is spirituality, what is enlightenment. And he offered me a beautiful perspective. When you ask yourself, who am I? You can simply say, a unique spirit. I am a unique spirit. But for the sake of what Ramana's talking about here, let's inquire into that. Because this man says, the person who commented on my video, any further wording and analysis of a unique spirit as the answer of what you are is pointless philosophical word games. So is this to say that one should settle with what they are is a unique spirit? And here I go off into the philosophical word game that he's most likely talking about. Who is it that is a unique spirit? If that is the pointless philosophical word game that this being is describing, what he's saying is that the self-inquiry into one's projection of an answer is pointless. But this is where me and him mutually disagree, is that a pointless philosophical word game is the same projection of I am a unique spirit. And the question is, in the realm of self-inquiry, who is it that thinks they are a unique spirit? A unique spirit? Once again, this appears to you, that you are a unique spirit. Who is it that knows they are a unique spirit? Who is it that is unique? Kind of hope you're watching this video, by the way, bro. And we also talked about how much of what I'm talking about here and what he was talking about, without even knowing it, we very well could feel the same way. Because I know just what he's talking about, you know. It makes intellectual sense that I am a unique spirit. But keeping on the firm trail of self-inquiry, who did this just appear to? Where did this answer take place? Where did the answer to such a question happen? Where even did the question take place? And why would the question be taking place if one knew themselves? It's almost like we're born with this little mark of knowing something's just a little weird, something's fishy, something's, we don't know who we are. We're, you know, and that's what the spiritual path and journey is recognizing, oh my gosh, I am an embodiment of thought. The I that I think I am is an embodiment of thoughts, what I've been taught, what I've been told. Once I was able to, you know, have my own head on my shoulders, my mind starts telling itself who it is and what it is. And no, that person didn't, you know, that person taught me the wrong thing. This is what I actually am. This is what I actually am. And this sort of growing and dissolving identity, it leaves us wondering, well, who actually am I? And to say how me and this person that commented on the video may be talking about the same thing is maybe this unique spirit that I is this whole mental philosophical trip of trying to find who I think I am and recognizing that it's futile and accepting that and then carrying on with my life. And but there, you know, in me I wonder, who is this all appearing to? Who is it that thinks they're a unique spirit? Who is it that has settled that they are a unique spirit? Who is it that sees the thought, a unique spirit, and says, that's who I am. That's who I am. I'm getting a phone call. I just hope it's not important. Oh, shit. Sorry. I'm talking about the eternal self. If it's an appearance, I am not that. Along the lines of self-inquiry, of what Ramana's talking about. A unique spirit, the eternal self, Brahman, Atman. consciousness, awareness, if it's appearing, it's being immediately filtered through the distorted perception of the conceptual thinking mind. And the main question is, where is this taking place? Where is this arising out of? Where is it arising from? Where is the question and answer? Where's it all going down? Where's it all taking place? And Ramana says, through the proper inquiry into such a thing, we see that it's awareness. It's all taking place in awareness. In awareness. It is all awareness. And who you think you are and what you think the world is conceived through the mind, which is in awareness. Like I said, this might seem familiar. I might sound like a broken record. But in the last episode, I described this stuff deeper and in a, I guess, richer way, because it was the first articulation of such a thing. But it doesn't hurt to talk about it again, to really beat it in to me and to you, if this is what you're looking to understand and work with. Who's it all arising to? Who is a unique spirit? I am a unique spirit. I am the self. To realize the self is to rest in undifferentiated, eternal peace. It's where it's what love is. Because who is there to experience a problem? Who is there to disagree or not, or agree? Who is there to like or dislike? Who is there to be troubled or fine? All this takes place in the mind, and for the mind to tell itself yet again who it is to rise into peace temporarily and fall back into disharmony, discontentment, sadness, anger, fear, because these are all products of who we think we are. And when we try to maintain who we think we are, I do it too. I am, it's trippy. It's life. It's what we've been. Here we are. It's karma. To live in the mind, to hold up who you are in the mind, is to inevitably experience suffering, because we're asking who we are and telling ourselves what we are because we suffer. That's the fishiness. That's the weirdness, is that why am I in so much pain? Why are things so hard? Why am I so attached? Why can't I just be happy? And you got all these saints telling you that it's samsara. Life is suffering. But who we are, is outside of all of this. It isn't immersed into it. It isn't about it. It witnesses it all. It is the entirety of it all. if one, think of just like the number one, includes all of suffering and all of happiness, would the one suffer because of that? Would the one outside of itself, which isn't even there, suffer because it's suffering? No, suffering is just an innate part of I. Awareness itself, you truly don't suffer. You don't get happy. You don't experience the fluctuations of who you think you are and pushing and pulling out of your own desire, because you are all of it. You are the entirety of this whole happening. When you live in the mind, when you think this is who you are, you will suffer. It's why we will go through moods and emotions. It's because we are who we think we are. What Ramana's offering here is utter liberation, utter freedom, transcendence from and out of samsara. And this isn't something you just, all right, I want to be free. Let's figure out who I am. And you go and do it. Liberation isn't something that's done. Liberation is right now, and it's a matter of recognizing it. Using the mind to recognize no mind, to recognize the true eternal peace that holds all this suffering. And peace isn't an emotion. That statement itself could be disagreed with and toyed with, because peace is an emotion. I feel very calm and I feel fine. But peace, bliss, ecstasy, it is that because it's not in time, it's not in space, it's not in mind, it's not regulated by chemicals, by fluctuating thoughts and emotions. It is you. You are peace. You are bliss. And how it's hard to, it's even hard for me, how it's hard to recognize that is because not only do we live in the mind, but we personify this peace with who we think we are. We sort of try to take who and what we are and what we know and what we think is and put it in this imaginative state of eternal peace. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I am not that. If it makes sense to you, if it appears to you, you can count on that not being you. That's mind. Making it up again, telling itself who it is again and again and again. And that is the sort of catalyst for more karma, further suffering, is thinking, okay, that's it. That's who I am. Awareness doesn't proclaim itself. Awareness doesn't say, This is who I am. Awareness. Here it is. It's not doing anything. That's you and I. That's this. Oh my God. It just is. And quieting the mind, turning in on this awareness, using the conceptual mind to think it's turning in on such a thing, to really tune into the moment, to be here now in this incarnation, inside of suffering with all of this shit we got going on, is to be peace, is to be timeless, is to be the eternity that we are. You know, like in my deepest states of meditation, I am free. There is nothing, but it didn't go anywhere. My mind shut up. My mind ceased. And in that, I can't be the one to experience that state, because I, who I think I am, is a product of the mind. The mind is the one that wants to go and meditate to try and get into that space. But when you're in that space, you don't exist. And that's why it's so liberating. That's why it is so peaceful, because there is no time, no separation, no coming and going of good and bad and right and wrong. There is no differentiation. There's no unique spirit. It is all that is. And inside of that, you are more okay than you've ever been. You are more peaceful than you've ever been. You are it. Before you were born, that's it. Where you go when you're in deep, 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 deep sleep, no dreams, that's it. When you die, that's it, supposedly. How should I know? It's here right now. It's here right now. But there is so much animation and projection and identification with this mind that it seems unavailable, impossible, not real. Like it's not even, it's just bullshit. It's just another mental-based method to try and be happy. Well, I mean, in a very deep way, that is what's going on. We just want to be happy. You know, I think that was in the beginning of the book here. Hold on, let's see if I can find it actually. All living beings desire to be happy always. That's it. That's it. We're born and we realize we're not. And what is it that what changed? You know, like the baby crying when it's born and smacked and starts breathing. It's like, whoa, I'm separate. What is this? Who am I? I thought it was nothing. I thought I was fine. And then the mind gets going. The mind, before it's even able to word itself to the outside world and tell all these people that how much it's suffering, the very entering, appearing in this world is suffering and a journey of trying to get back to where we were, get back to who we actually are. Yeah, maybe get used to the whole series sounding like a broken record, you know? I mean, the gurus themselves sound like a broken record. I feel it right now, how it's really, we're talking about the same thing. And we most likely will continue talking about the same thing over and over and over and over again, just further digesting it and further working with it and further articulating it. And maybe experiencing moments, glimpses of this liberation, of this selfless, supreme, eternal reality throughout it. There's a quote from Ramana that's not in this book, but it's probably a response to a question somebody had asked him. And he says, "Let what comes come." Think about that for a second. Let what goes go. And see what remains. What is it that hasn't gone anywhere this whole time? You and I have been here the whole time, experiencing the coming and going of pain, of happiness, of apparent freedom, aging, decaying, illness. This entire apparent reality is coming and going like the breath. Who is it coming to and going away from? Who does this universe appear to? The coming and going, I am not that. You are not that. The thought of who you are comes and goes. Thinking you exist comes and goes. But you exist eternally. When someone dies in this apparent reality, outside of us, separate from us, someone that wasn't us, we say, okay, they don't exist anymore. Or they're in heaven. Or, you know, nothing, the way I look at it is nothing really happened. Their body's just doing this different dance. They're not talking anymore. They're not moving. I mean, in a weird way, they are moving. The rotting and decaying of the body, and it's just going to take a long time to see that movement. And we're really impatient. But the essence is we don't know where they went. We think they're gone. We think they're not here because they're not animating this body. They're not doing the thing that says, I exist. They're not making us laugh and cry. And I mean, they still are, they die and they really do something to us. They really affect us and they make us cry. They make us grieve. But once again, this is all happening inside of us, inside of I. All that happened is they just stopped moving. They're not inhaling and exhaling. They're not pumping their blood. The body ran its course. The coming of the body is now going. Be it naturally or catastrophically or criminally, they get murdered or something like that. all that's going. It's coming and going. And who's it appearing to, Really pound that shit in. Who is it appearing to? Where'd they go? Where did so-and-so go? Nowhere. They didn't go anywhere because there is no one going anywhere. In that being that just died, that was a product of their mind, their functioning mind. And the scientists tell us the mind isn't functioning anymore when they die. So they're free. They're free from thinking they went somewhere and thinking something happened or something is happening. They are it. They have returned to source, so cliche put. They are free. And we're left like, come on, like, I'm still so caught up. I'm still so sad. Why'd you have to die? I really wanted you to stay here. This is the mind. The thinking mind. All of this happening inside of you. The birthing and dying of loved ones. Thinking it's so sad, grieving, knowing it's sad, knowing in essence, this sucks, this is horrible. The question remains, to who does this appear? What is this taking place inside of? Kind of like the last episode, I have to go pee real quick. So I will be right back. Bear with me. My body is back. My sounds are back. But I've been here the whole time. Oh, snap. The very feeling of thinking I went and left and wasn't present and then came back and now I'm back here. That is the mind, the identification with the body and the speaking and the thinking mind. Residing in this thing. I bet to a lot of you this shit's gonna be so exhausting and so, oh my God. In a very subtle way, it is to me, but it's digesting, it's contemplating, it's looking back into over and over and over again. And it really does help me. It really helps me to sit and share these things and talk about these things and know that somebody out there that's wondering, contemplating on the very same things could be benefiting from this, could be learning something from this, could be unlearning something from this, actually. Could be not thinking as much, not in the mind as much. these videos potentially allowing you a moment of clarity into the nothingness that we are, the sunyata that we are, the void. Shall I move on to question 3? Like I said, I feel like each thing he says could just be on and on and on, described and talked about, thought about, imagined, envisioned. After negating all of the above mentioned as not this, that awareness which alone remains, that I am. And Sri Pillai asks, this being question 3, what is the nature of awareness? Now he's asking, what is the nature of who I actually am? The nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, bliss. We do exist. We are here. Undifferentiated from this existence. We are in bliss. When the mind that thinks it is awareness is freed from that binding identity, that binding thought, its natural state is bliss. And this is not an emotion inside of the body. This is who we are. We are fine. We are okay. Ram Dass asked a teacher of his, what is death like? And the teacher said, death is completely safe. Let that sink in for a moment. We base safety off of not dying, not being harmed. We think death is the ultimate end, ultimate harm, the ultimate unsafety. And he says death is completely safe. To who is it safe to? Who is safe from death? Existence, consciousness, Bliss itself is untouched, unmarked, the perfectly polished mirror. Before you were born, in the deepest moments of sleep, in what people call flow states. I wasn't even there, it was just happening. And I felt so free, I felt so flow, I felt so in the zone, in the moment. Nothing, there was no time, there was no me. The very nature of who you are. You are existing. You are conscious. And you are bliss. The projection of the mind inside of existence, consciousness, bliss is what disagrees, is what says, no, I am not bliss. I am not consciousness. This is who I am. This is how I feel. And who you are sits in eternal silence, beholding who you think you are, how painful you think it is. It birthed you, who you think you are. It watched you grow up and acquire all these notions of what life is and what you are and where you think it's all headed and what you think the moment is, what you think being in the moment is. It just is watching wholly, wholesomely, entirely, rather than it being inside of all these humans. Through and through, it pierces the whole thing. It pierces the whole thing. It is not somewhere. It's not inside of something. Bliss isn't in space. It doesn't take time. It's not an appearance. It is the lack thereof, of all that. Existence isn't attached. To what could existence be attached to? To what could bliss be blissful of? That is why bliss is not happy. happiness, and this is getting into the game of semantics, of happiness is different than bliss. But that's sort of how I describe it to myself, that happiness is once again because of this. We don't personify awareness. That is to make it a state to be in, once again, inside of samsara, inside of inevitable suffering, to put it into space and time. Really dig the idea of deep sleep for a moment. Where did you go? Where are you? You still exist. You are still as present as you ever were. But there's not a mind to think anything about it. There's not a vision to get caught up in. There isn't even a seer to look for the seen. The deep sleep is your fundamental nature. Think about why people who are depressed just sleep all the time. There must be some sort of liberation inside of that for them. Maybe if they don't even realize it, maybe they say things, once the mind is active again, they say, I just don't want to do anything. What does that say? What does that say? They want to be returned back into the non-doing, the emptiness. Why do people kill themselves? I think it's like deep sleep. Brings them back to emptiness, nothingness. But see, that's where karma comes into the equation. If you sleep all the time because you're depressed and just don't want to take on this world anymore, or if you kill yourself because you're depressed and just don't want to take on this world anymore, the coming and going mind that feels such a way will come again and go again. This is the idea of reincarnation. Who you are doesn't need to do anything. They never have done anything. All doing and suffering and happiness and achievement and experience is just taking place inside of you. You're not doing anything. You are the whole thing. The Big Bang. The Big Bang, like you can think of it like the incarnation of existence itself. The very first appearance of separation. Like I said earlier, we're born, and maybe not all of us, but many of the people that dive into these spiritual journeys, there's something weird. They're realizing I'm taking this too seriously. This isn't actually who I am. This isn't actually how existence has to be. Why am I suffering so much? Why do I feel so unhappy? And it's a journey of trying to get back to a state that you don't even know, to a state that you don't even remember or have said isn't even real. And said, this is life. This is just life. I just suffer. It's meaningless. It's pointless. I'm just here for a little bit. I'm just a unintelligent life form. Sometimes I sit by a river and I look at the river. Sometimes I'm happy when I'm looking at the river. Sometimes I'm really, really upset. And that's why I'm out there by the river, is because I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to find something that I don't even know. I'm trying to be happy. Or if I'm happy and go out to the river, I'm trying to maintain it, make it more intense, make this happiness even more blissful, even more happy. But no matter who I think I am sitting by a river, it's just trickling. It's just going. You could say it doesn't care. You could say it's pointless. It's just making sounds. It's just running liquid. But that is you. That is you. You're just running liquid. And there's no point. Do you think the river is worrying? Do you think the river gives a shit? Why do we have to give a shit? Why do we worry? We personify the river. It's like, I wish I could be like you. I wish I could just be mindless. I wish I could just be free, pointless, not a care in the world, just... But we are that. We're why the river is there in the first place. We're how it's there. We are the very moment of that. And the mind is really, really, really taking a toll on us. That's why it went and sat out by a river. This is a personal experience and reflection of many times that I've went and sat by a river. And it brings about the quote, "The only Zen that you're going to find at a mountaintop or by a river is the Zen that you bring out there with you." Whatever you feel is what you will see in the world. If you're suffering, you want to go and surround yourself by something that you believe is not suffering, you believe is free, you believe will take you with it. Something that will liberate you out of the prison of your own thoughts. When was the river born? Where's it going? Where does it start? Follow it. To where it's going or to where it came from. Try to find it. Try to find where it is. Where is the river? It never stopped or started anywhere. It's just what's here. If you're watching this far, my words are getting tinier. My voice is getting quieter. I could start fucking screaming right now if I wanted. Stuff really brings me into silence. Makes the mind sort of melancholy, very empathetic and compassionate. Come on in, come out and play. Come be free. Stop thinking so much. Who you are is existence, consciousness, bliss. Stop naming the river. Stop saying who you think you are. Stop talking about why it's all so good or so bad. Remind yourself that, enjoy the good while it's there, but remind yourself that it doesn't last. And give yourself some space and alleviate yourself a little bit when you're in deep sadness and realize this isn't going to last. This is maintained by something. The very thing that good and bad is being maintained by doesn't even last. It's going. Think if we could watch 100 years in 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Think about how quickly you'd see who you think you are dissolving. Think about how many plants you'd see, just forests, whole forests, fires and catastrophes. Think about the geographical changing of what we think is here, Earth. It's morphing, it's flowing, it's dissolving. This is the deepest thing that psychedelic visuals portray to me, is wow, that's what I'm doing. You look at you just look at anything on a high dose of psychedelics and it's fucking and it's projecting your thoughts into it, and it's dancing, and it's changing colors, and it's moving and morphing, and it's horrifying to some people. It's horrifying because you know what? That's what you're doing. And you're trying to stop. I'm here. I'm solid. I exist. Let me stay. Let me be. But that's your mind. That is your mind. Falling apart. Going like a river. Let me remind you, who is this all taking place to? Existence, consciousness, bliss is who it is all appearing to and going away from. Ego death. Really interesting. Really interesting. People that get into a psychedelic journey or in a sort of slow burning way as they progress down a spiritual path. That's really what they're trying to get that. They're trying to get that. But the you that wants ego death is the you that has ego death. You think, I want to experience ego death. I want to experience enlightenment. But that very subject guy right there is the one that that falls apart, that decays, that disappears. If you come back into your mind, you say, I don't exist. I didn't exist. I wasn't there. And that sounds sort of familiar. That has a very familiar tone to it. Like if you come out of a psychedelic ego death, you go, I didn't exist. I was no more. But you were. What died is who you thought you were. What you thought this all was. What you thought ego death was. It's gone. Completely morphing and dissolving. But you still there the whole time, through the peak of terror and the ecstasies of the bliss, which all took place inside of you. You were just experiencing. You were just witnessing. You were just chilling. Eternally chilling. Let what comes come, let what goes go, and see what remains. What is it that's been here the whole time? What is it that it's all appearing to? I'd like to keep going. I'd like to keep recording and talking, and going over these questions and being with you all. Just here now, just talking, sharing, tripping out, personifying the self. I really hope you guys feel what I'm saying here. I really hope this frees you out of your own thoughts, out of your own who you think you are. Mr. Unique Spirit, I hope you're watching this, man. I hope you feel good in seeing what a unique spirit he is. What a silly little spirit. I hope you feel so free. I hope you know that you are. And it doesn't matter what philosophical words come at you or you create for you. You are here, my man. You are free. You are it. Alan Watts is beautiful. I like him a lot too. He gives a sort of rational, more human seeming description of all this. Going skydiving to experience these things. You got it, man. It seems honestly more advanced than sitting in meditation. Falling. That is you. That is you, bro. That is who you are. Is the falling and where am I going and holy shit. You are the ground you're coming towards. You are the plane you jumped out of. You are the wind soaring past your face. You are the you think you are. That's the one that's falling, and I hope my parachute works. existence, consciousness, bliss. Behind the mind, before the thought, deep sleep, where you came from and where you're going, where you are right now with all these thoughts overlaid onto it. You are free. You are eternity. There's nowhere you could go. There's nowhere you came from. So I believe we covered questions 2 and 3 in this video. If I am none of these, then who am I? And Ramana says, you are awareness. And what is the nature of awareness? What is the nature of who I am? Existence, consciousness, bliss. Like I said, I really could enjoy just sitting here talking on and on, reading the whole book, talking about it. I would be in such an exalted state of consciousness. But we need time. What we think time is. We need time to just hear and feel these things out. Really experience them, not just think about them. Just be with it. As much as I don't want to overcrowd my mind with the content of this stuff, I don't want to overcrowd your mind with it as well. So I think maybe this would be a good stopping point. I'm gonna finish my coffee real quick though. Hang out just a little bit longer. Come on, hang out with me, please. Yeah, it was like that third question there sent me. I really hope you guys are enjoying this series. It's episode 2. And there won't be 28 episodes because, like we did in this video, we covered 2 of the questions. I don't know when I will be making the next episode, but it will come, and then it will go. I even like to rewatch these videos of mine to once again digest who I thought I was in that video and who I think I am watching back on this video, and really just let the levels completely fall apart and completely become integral. Yeah, I love you guys. See you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll be back in episode 3 whenever it comes. See ya. You want to know a funny little secret before I go, actually? I'll typically sit in silence and just sort of stare at the camera for 20-30 seconds, so it makes it easier for me to cut it out at the end. So the video ends right when I say goodbye. But I'll include this part. So, see ya.